Hey everyone, welcome to this video. We're so excited to have you here, and we're going to talk about the fear of getting visible and being seen. So, hi Reese, I'm so excited for you to talk about this today, and I know there's going to be so much wisdom shared. But first, how are you?
I'm good. And I'm so excited to talk about the fear of being visible because feel like it's one of my biggest frustrations. Like, I meet someone who they have so much potential, they have a great story, they have all these life lessons, and then they're like, oh, what if someone leaves a mean comment? What are people from high school going to think? What if I show up on a live or a video and I forget what to say? And it's all around this like fear of being visible, of being judged, of being seen. What will people think? So
Yeah.
I'm really excited for us to deep dive and unearth what the roots of that are. And then everyone can come out on the other side just showing up fully as
Me
they want
too.
to be and as they're meant to be.
I agree, Reese. I'm really excited for this too because I don't know if I know any leader or CEO in the coach that I've met that hasn't had to go through this in some way, right? And so let's dive straight into it. I think it's probably one of our most asked questions, either in our DMs, in our coaching cohorts, via our apps, like all of the different programs we have at Yes Supply. We have women saying, I want to lead, I want to show up, I want to run the business, I want to be seen, I want to be on stages. But when the moment comes, the post doesn't go up. The offer
Yeah.
just stays in their minds, their voice wobbles when they try to speak about it. So let's talk about it from your perspective. Why does it still feel so unsafe to be visible, even when we know we're meant to do it?
So it's so interesting. We love the science and we love the research at Yes Supply. And so some of the research that we looked at suggested, because this is what other species do, so it suggested that in the human species, fears, emotions, limitations can actually be passed down from generation to generation. So what I've seen a lot in the clients that I worked closely with is if they have a fear either from when they were young, maybe they did a show and tell and the class laughed at them, that can show up in their 20s, 30s, 40s, and beyond of, oh, I'm not a good public speaker or people are going to laugh at me. It's like, girl, that happened when you were 4 because nobody liked your nobody
Yeah,
liked your Elmo.
yeah,
Like, we can
yeah.
move past that now, right? It's not the same. Or what happens too is something might have even happened to your mom or your great 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 grandma or great 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 grandpa where something happened that showed them that they were not safe to be visible. And
Mm,
therefore, that's like entrenched in our DNA, that's entrenched in the deepest layers of our memory where we equate people seeing me with death or people seeing me with a threat. And so if that's hardwired in that people seeing me show up is equivalent with a threat, then that will stop people. And they won't know why. They're like, I want to do a live, I want to do public speaking, but something's holding me back. I don't know why. And it's because it's ingrained so deeply. So at Yes Supply, as you know, we have this amazing tool called neural energetic encoding. It has a huge success rate with helping people release emotions. And so I've used this over and over and over again to help people release the fear of being visible. And a big theme that has come up with clients is if I have a client, a coach in front of me who says, I want to help people, I want to share my message, I want to share my story, but I'm so afraid something's holding me back. A huge theme that I see is in a past life or a past generation, they or their elder or whatever was a witch or a healer. And so they were trying to heal. Maybe they were using herbalism or whatever it is. They were trying to heal. They were trying to help people, but they got burned at the stake. And so because
mm.
of that thing that happened many, many years ago, now deep on a subconscious level, how they evolved is if I show up and help people, I'm going to be burned at the stake. And so
Mm.
it seems like an irrational fear, but it is rational because they've made that decision to survive. But now at this point in 2025, no one's going to get, burned at the stake for their coaching business. So we can release that with any ease.
Right. Yeah, and I think that sometimes, I don't know if you agree, it's hard to know when you're in that fear, even when you know the tools as we do. I quickly get there, but sometimes it feels like the fear is something very present right now. when
Mm-hmm.
actually it's a breadcrumb. It's trying to show you where to go to release it. So for people who are kind of have that fear of being visible and it's stopping them and it's frustrating them, how can they begin to become aware of what's really going on for them?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think, like you said, a lot of the time it's in our blind spots, right? So
Yeah.
if you know that there's something holding you back, but no matter what you do, you can't pinpoint it, I would honestly recommend working with a Yes Supply coach. So either one of our graduates working with them, or on our website, we also have our single session shifts. You can sign up for a single session and just say, hey, I want to tackle this fear of being visible, because we'll be able to see, like, is there truly a fear? Like, is it the how? Like, you don't know how to go live, you don't know how to click the button, or you don't know how to like bullet out your notes, or is it an emotional fear? And again, a lot of the time it'll just be a fear of like, if I show up, it's threatening. If it's not that, it's often, what will people say? What will people think?
Yes.
Will they judge me? Will they laugh at me? And whatever that is, we can release that fear or release that feeling with one of the tools. So I think that can be so powerful to pinpoint what is it that's holding you back, and recognize, like, it's not an actual brick wall, right? Even though it feels like a big emotion, it feels like a big fear. If you have your index finger and you have an internet connection and a phone, you can click the buttons to go live. So you physically can go there. So what is it emotionally that's holding you back, or mentally that's holding you back? And then there's tools to move through that. I think that's one of the biggest frustrations when you see someone who's like, you have all this potential. Like, you could be changing lives, you could be running the business of your dreams, you could be making the money that you want, and the only thing that's stopping you is your own internal conflicts. So we have the tools for that.
We really do. And there's two things coming up for me. One is, I don't know if I'm overgeneralizing, so I'd love your opinion on this, but being in with our students so much, I think one of the biggest things when it comes to being visible is the fear of judgment. You've mentioned it twice already, the fear of judgment. And I think you're right in that this is something we're generationally dealing with. And often it runs as, I hear this a lot, so I want to get it out in case anyone's feeling this in their own life right now. I hear this so much. I want to post but my family follow me, or I want to post but this person. But actually, from what you're saying, and from my knowledge of the techniques, even if you remove your family from the page, which of course you can do, start a new page, do all
You
these
can
other
block
things,
them.
you can block them, you can restrict them, but unless you go in and actually release that, even if you block them, it's probably still going to hold you back.
Absolutely. Yeah. Because it's not actually about the external person. It's about like looking within yourself and finding that rejection within yourself. A lot of the time, it's so funny because we can be so afraid of someone rejecting us, but then the very act of us being something we're not, to be accepted by them, we're rejecting ourselves, right? Because if we were being fully accepting of ourselves, then we would just do the thing, right? I think it's so important to know. Yeah, it's like there's always going to be people that judge. Like, I could have a video go out and one, especially with my EFTs, like one person will say, oh my gosh, thank you so much, this changed my life, I feel so much better. And then another person will be like, what the heck are you doing? Why are you tapping on your face, right? So yeah, it's like the same video, the same piece of content, two people can have a completely different perspective. We're not ever going to like not be judged. People are always going to judge, whether they do it externally or internally. So it's not about not being judged. It's just about being comfortable to be yourself. And also to going back to your why, right? Your why. For Yes Supply, whether I get a positive comment, or whether I get a mean comment, when I go back to my why, I have a deep belief that everyone should have access to these tools. I feel like it's a crime that everyone is born with a subconscious mind, but probably less than 5% of people actually know how to program it. Whether I look silly or get judged or whatever it is, I believe that people should know that they can change their mind. They don't have to use food to numb or addictions to numb or whatever. They can just process the emotions that are leading them there. And so I think when you have a why or a purpose that's bigger than you, it gets you to act bigger than who you've always been. So that means showing up and making the video or giving the speech that yeah, maybe scares you a little bit, but you know that it's going to contribute to a greater whole, a greater world. One thing I always think about is like, right now I'm homeschooling, but it's like one day if my kids go to school, it's like something that I say might positively affect a mom of one of my kids' friends. Right. And it's like
Well,
that
yeah.
little kid, like imagine all of your friends, like all your friends who are parents, know how to nurture their child and make sure that their child isn't a bully and is accepting and can
Mm.
manage their emotions and regulate their emotions and is going to school confident and is uplifting other people and themselves. And it's like they know more about that because of something you posted online. Like that's worth it, right?
So
And
worth
then if
it.
somebody's judging or is like, I don't want to work on my mindset, it's like, well, that has more to do with them than me, right? Like I don't think we should stray away from who we want to be or what we want to say because of like a negative Nancy.
Yeah, I
Better
agree.
to be
And
the
it would be
positive
so
one.
sad. Like I think of you as an example, and I know you shared openly that you used to have like a fear of speaking in public,
Yeah,
and like imagine you hadn't used like neural energetic encoding and all the subconscious mind reprogramming tools to release that, all of the lives, even if we just think about one life, it impacted my life, which has impacted my families. My mom went through the S apply method,
oh
which has impacted
yeah.
her friends
And
and
now she
family
wrote a
from my
book.
son. And now she wrote a book. Like, so if you just think about even one person, and I think that's one thing with my coaching when I joined the S Supply method, I would wake up and say, even if it positively impacts one person, it connect you, and what I learned in the S Supply method connected it to something bigger than me. So then this became somebody needs to hear this. It's not about me anymore, right? But that's
Totally.
because I released the fear, and I had a huge fear of judgment, really, and rejection. That was my stuff that I have to work through, and I kind of have to work through it every time there's a stretch. Every time I'm at a new boundary, it revisits. Do you find the same, that you're continually using the tools?
Yeah. Oh, I'm always using the tools. I'm literally going into the app on my own, like listening. I'm doing EFT almost every day. I'm always going back to the tools for every new stretchy thing that I'm going through. And I'm just thinking back to a client that I was working with where she was dealing with the same fear of being visible. And her story or her thing was, what will my friends from high school think? What will my friends from college think? And what we uncovered as we were working together in our session is that she was going back into this past identity of who she used to be to fit in with past people. And when she was having conversations with them, with these friends, it wasn't lighting her up. It wasn't inspiring her. She felt like
Mm,
she was growing out of these relationships, but she was even going, she didn't want to drink anymore. And she was even going back to like drinking when she would go out with them, like not like an addiction, but Friday nights, whatever,
I know,
going back
yeah,
to
yeah.
drinking when she was with them to fit in with them because she was afraid of growing into the person of like, well, I don't need alcohol to have a good time. I just have a good time. Like I'm, working on my emotions.
Hmm.
I'm working on my mindset. So sometimes what can happen is to fit in with people of the past or feel like we're accepted by our family or friends from high school. We kind of pretend to be something that's not our full potential when we have so much more potential. But what can happen when you are brave enough to move past that and decide to say, like, no, I want to talk about growth. I want to talk about mindset. I want to talk about these new things that I'm leaning into. Is it actually becomes a doorway to find the people who will accept you. So I was just thinking about yesterday, I was just thinking about how podcasting, especially like being on people's podcasts, has actually been such a great doorway for me to make amazing friendships. So I met up for matcha yesterday with a girl that I
Love that.
met from being on her podcast like a couple of years ago who's
Oh,
here. And we had an amazing conversation. And that wouldn't have happened if I was just pretending to have the small talk of like, what
right.
sitcom are you watching? Like what TV show are you watching? Right? Like that only would
Not
have
being
happened
your
if I
full self.
yeah, that only would have happened if I was having conversations, like being on these podcasts that stretched me. And then this morning, I had a quick catch up with a girlfriend who I also had been on her podcast years ago, and we've stayed in touch. So it's like, yes, there are going to be people that reject you or don't accept you or they're not growing alongside of you. But if you continue on that pathway of growth that you want to be in, you're going to find those new circles of people that do accept you and do get it. And now you're having conversations that light you up and stretch you and turn into opportunities and collaborations and who knows what.
It is so powerful, and I think I definitely resonated, and I think a lot of people will, with that fitting in, kind of shrinking or adjusting who you are in order to feel like you fit in. And that is something that isn't aligned with your future self, who does all the things that you're dreaming of doing, right? It reminded me of a client I had who was in her 60s. When she was a child, she had a birthmark on her face, and she was made to feel, she was teased about it, and there was some comments from family members too, but she doesn't have this anymore, and she's in her 60s and trying to put things out into the world, but it still has this huge judgment. Even though the birthmark isn't there, she has this huge fear of judgment, and I think that just speaks to the power of the programming. Like, you could be totally different now, but because you haven't worked through that fear, it's still driving you.
Absolutely. There's a great book on this topic. It's called Psychocybernetics from Maxwell Maltz. And he was actually a plastic surgeon. And what he noticed is some people, he would transform their face. They look like a completely new person, and they showed up and they acted like a new person. They were confident and loved themselves. But some people, he would completely transform them. You wouldn't even recognize them. And they were still not confident, not feeling beautiful enough, not feeling good enough. And that's what actually led him to start to write books and get into psychology, because he wanted to understand what is the psychology that leads some people to believe in themselves and be confident and go on to do great things, where other people stay in the same place. And what he discovered and what he writes about is that it's all about your self-image. So it's all about how you see yourself within. And I was actually talking to a friend about that yesterday too, because I got the great gift of working with someone once who, when you would look at her, you wouldn't see her on the front cover of a magazine. Like, she wasn't the body type of a supermodel, to say the least. But when she would walk into our workplace, she had such a magnetic energy. Like, everyone's like, oh my gosh, you're here. Wanted to chat with her and wanted to be her friend. She had an amazing friend group. She had an amazing partner that loved her. And I remember just like witnessing this and getting to be in her energy. And it taught me it's all about energy. You don't have to be the most beautiful, like physically beautiful. You don't have to be the skinniest. You could be the skinniest and be miserable. You could be the prettiest and be miserable. It's all about like the energy that radiates into the room. And she was such a good example of that for me at a younger age.
Yeah, and I think I'm wondering if then that connection is to be that magnetic. The fear of judgment or the fear of being visible can't really exist. Like, it has to be worked through, because it would go against your subconscious mind for you to be super magnetic and have an active fear of being visible, right? Those two don't go together. So it makes me wonder, like, if we were able to do like a magic wand and release everybody's fear of being visible or judgment, like, what different sides of people would we see that's like currently being hidden, that nobody's seeing?
Yeah. A big shift that I had was when I was in my public speaking training, literally putting myself like in the ring of fire. I was so afraid, but I was doing it anyway. And I was reflecting on how scared I would be when I had to go up and do a talk, and then how kind people would be after it. Like, I felt like I was shaking, like I was tripping over my words, like I wasn't making any sense. And then I'd sit down and someone would be like, oh my gosh, you look so confident up there. Or, oh my God, I love what you said about blah, 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 blah. And I realized, like, even just by trying, even though I knew I wasn't perfect, I'm helping people and I'm making an impact. And then I started to reflect, and I would be watching someone who was doing their little Toastmaster speech, and I might notice them trip up over their words or not say something perfectly, but I still got something out of it. And so I started to think about, like, well, I'm the type of person that I'm aiming to get value from, anyone that I'm listening. I'm supporting them. I'm clapping for them. I'm cheering them on. I'm the type of person who's supportive of others. What if I start to imagine that I live in a world not where everyone wants to attack me or see me fail? What if I imagine that I live in a world where everyone wants to support me and see me win? And so I shifted my perspective of like, yeah, the world that I live in is a one where people want to support me. They want to see me win. And that helps you alleviate the fear of being visible, because instead of expecting judgment and expecting the worst case scenario, we can expect like acceptance. We can accept love, and we can expect, I should say, the best case scenario. And it's so funny because like when we're hiding, yes, we might be limiting ourselves from judgment, but when we're hiding, we're also blocking ourselves off from the ability for someone to get to love us. Like if people don't get to know us, know what we're about, hear our story, hear how we want to change the world, how we want to help us, they're never going to get a chance to love us or to accept us or to cheer us on or to help us. So, often it comes from a fear of a threat, but we might actually be blocking ourselves off from abundance and something great.
We definitely are. Abundance and magic and connection and impact and all of these amazing rooms and doors that could open for you and for others will never open if you stay in that fear and stay in that. It keeps you exactly where you are. And that is just the nervous system's dream. So how can somebody, if they're watching this and they're like, that's me, she's speaking about me, like how could they start now to
I think a great first step is nervous system regulation, because 80% of the communication in our body goes from our body to our brain. So if our body starts to feel safe, then our brain will start to think, maybe I am safe. Maybe things aren't so bad. So we have some great tools in the Yes, It's Yours app, but havening, it's literally just giving yourself a big hug and helping yourself feel safe and secure. We also do havening with different eye movements. When you're crossing your arms or you're looking from side to side, it's actually helping both sides of your brain connect, communicate, and you can be like, oh, there's not actually a threat. Everything is perfectly fine. Nobody's going to throw tomatoes at me when I give this public speech or whatever it is, because that used to be my fear. That used to be my vision inside my head. EFT tapping is also so powerful. So even though I'm afraid to show up, to introduce myself as a business owner, to do this speech or do this talk, I completely and totally love and accept myself. And through ongoing nervous system regulation, your body's going to start to feel safer and more prepared for whatever you're doing to show up in the world. Another big thing, so we teach neurolinguistic programming in our certification. And so a big part of this is submodalities. What are the pictures that are showing up on the screen of your mind? Because the pictures that are showing up in our mind are the pictures that we live out. So if I say the word public speaking and you get an image in your mind of you cowering on stage, looking scared, people throwing tomatoes and judging you, if that's the picture on the screen of your mind, you're probably not going to have a great speech. But if you can shift that internal picture so that when I say the word public speaking, you see you standing up on stage, looking confident, shoulders back, people are smiling in the audience, you are confident in everything that you're saying, you're going to perform that much better. Your brain is going to anticipate an incredible performance, and therefore it's going to be that much easier for you to show up in the way that you want. Because when we're in fight or flight, it cuts off our creativity, it cuts off our innovation. So even if you have your speech totally prepared, but you walk up on stage in fight or flight, it's going to cut off your ability to even remember what you wrote down. Having that mind-body connection and regulating your nervous system, as well as believing that you can do it and seeing yourself as that person in your mind's eye, will help bring it all together.
Yeah, I just want people to know that. I'm so glad you shared all of that, because that is a tangible way to start moving through it. And you also mentioned the science of what's really going on. And so often we are kind of mentally rehearsing the worst case scenario all of the time.
Yeah.
And with the tools, you're able to regulate, but also flip the conversation in the subconscious mind, and therefore see results in your life that are aligned with where you want to go, right?
Yeah. And then the last piece is NEE, neural energetic encoding, has been one of the best tools for releasing fear. And we even studied it. We have a research team at Yes Supply, so we studied it. It has incredible results. So the next step is go within, do a body scan. Next time you feel nervous or fearful about showing up, announcing yourself as a business owner, posting online, doing the live, whatever it is that you're wanting to do a body scan within you and see like, what is it that's coming up for me? Is it fear? Is it rejection? Is it worry? Is it doubt? Is it a fear of being visible? And whatever that is, you can use neural energetic encoding to release it. So you can work with one of our coaches. You can go into the app and go through a neural energetic encoding exercise, that meditation that I have in there for you. Or if you're like, I love these tools so much, I want to use them for myself and others, that's what we teach in the certification.
And it's so sad that we don't all have access to this all of the time, like, from early on, because we could be living, keeping ourselves stuck, or we could be living, manifesting and bringing to life all of the things that we kind of know on this deeper level we can do. Like how we started the conversation, you might be somebody who's watching who goes to bed dreaming of that business you have within you, or see somebody speaking on stage and has that your heart pull because that could be you, and you have so much you want to say, and actually you feel that because it could be you, because it should be you,
Exactly.
because it's meant to be you, and all that's in the way is some old programming that doesn't fit you anymore, right?
Absolutely. 100%. And if you feel that pull like it's meant to be yours, it's because it is.
So the fear of being visible is really real, and there's no need to let it hold you back anymore, right? So the, the next steps would be to join one of the things Reese has mentioned. And also, I would love you, before we leave, Reese, to mention, we speak a lot about frequency. Do you think that living in that fear lowers your frequency and really affects what you manifest as well?
Absolutely. Oh my gosh, this could be a whole other conversation. This could be a whole other conversation, but your reticular activating system, right? It's like if you start thinking, I want to buy a G Wagon, all of a sudden, when you start driving down the street, you're like, everybody has a G Wagon. It's not that there's more G Wagons on the street, it's that now your brain is primed to see that out there. So the same thing goes with visibility. If you have it programmed in that being visible is scary, or people are going to judge me, or I'm going to mess up what I'm going to say, your brain is going to be scanning for that. It's going to be looking for that. And it's the difference between you tripping over your words and kind of ignoring it and continuing on and, doing an amazing video or piece of content, or you tripping over your words, magnifying it, and then ruining the whole rest of everything that you're doing, right? So whatever our brain, our reticular activating system is primed for, that's what we notice more of. So it's so important to prime ourselves for the best case scenario of like, I can do this. I'm great at this. I see myself in this identity. I see myself as that person. And because the subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between real and imagine, if you show up as that successful business owner 100 times in your mind, you're there, you're living it, and then it's
Right.
that much easier to replicate in your real life.
And that's so inspiring, because that's something we can all do, right? We can all do this. This isn't something that's reserved for certain people. Like, we all have a subconscious mind. We all have, if you're watching this, you have the internet, And so there's so many ways you can go about it. So thank you so much for sharing all of this magic, Reese. And one of the things when I was teaching cohorts, I would always say to people, if they spoke about the fear of being visible, I would always say, imagine Reese let her fear of being visible stop her. This Zoom room wouldn't exist right now. We all wouldn't even be here. And so then I would think about all of those people's future rooms that are coming together because they've worked through it. And so it's the same if
Absolutely.
you're watching, like there's rooms and there's people, there's opportunities waiting for you to release this.
Absolutely. Yeah. Like our students have gone on to become authors, casters,
Yeah.
impact thousands of people. So one of our students posting yesterday, she has like 175,000 followers on TikTok. Our students are impacting so many people, and it really just starts with saying yes to yourself and showing up and being in the room.
Thank you so much, Reese. This was such a
Thank
powerful
you.
conversation.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. And like the last thing that's just coming to mind for me is like, don't cut yourself off from that opportunity, from the connection, from the conversations that can happen when you're just like true to the person who it is that you want to be. Like you can create magic, you can create a better future world for yourself, for your kids. Like there's so much that can come out of not hiding and being the person that you always were, but being the person that you know you want to be.
Full body chills. So
Love it.
definitely comment if you've watched this video. Please comment and let us know what you're going to do now that you're going to release this fear.
Thanks so much, Jess. This is great.
Thank you, Reese.